appreciate you taking the time to sit down.
It has indeed been a very challenging year. Everybody has stories to tell full of intense emotions.
I'm realizing how adaptable, how flexible, and how strong everyone is in the face of adversity.
The story really goes back to about January. As a couple of faculty members in the College of Pharmacy, Philip Buchholz and Carolyn Bannister, were having a conversation with another faculty member, Helmut Albrecht from the School of Medicine, about should the pandemic hit the United States, we were going to have a difficult time.
When all of this started, we didn't have a way to get some of the equipment that is necessary to process the test with the nasopharyngeal swab.
We ran out of swabs. I thought, you got to be kidding me. Conventional wisdom is you must use a flocked swab made of these materials. You know, you've got to use this certain viral transport media to put it in, and these things are now out of supply.
In that same conversation, they talked about the transmission of the virus. Now, sure, it does happen through touch, but they recognize that that's not really the primary route of transmission. Is through one's breath.
It naturally made sense to us that it would be coming up through the saliva.
We eventually ran out of all of our RNA purification reagents, and I said, what the heck, let me just try some of this stuff before even purifying the RNA. And lo and behold, it worked out of viral transport media and out of crude saliva.
Dr. Buchholz and Dr. Bannister have really worked tirelessly for many months. And I recall vividly a couple of times going into Buchholz's lab, going into his office to look at data, and he's got a mat on the floor. He's sleeping there.
Phil Buchholz has really led the charge on finding a creative way in which to address this problem.
He started hearing reports of individuals doing similar work at Yale University, began collaborating with them, sharing results, sharing ideas. And that was important. It was important because it helped to refine the assay.
We all understood this is serious, and we needed to use whatever resources we had and share our expertise with one another. At some point during the summer, senior leadership became aware of what we had done, and they were thinking ahead that they wanted to have medically actionable testing. We got the CLIA lab established, filed for emergency use authorization, and under both Dean Cutler and President Castellan's leadership, it became a university-wide effort so that we could then test everybody. We had a plan in place to identify them and then quarantine people based on the results. And it worked like a charm because the numbers, they shot up and boom, they went down to almost nothing partway through the semester. It was absolutely dramatic.
We are one of the few institutions that have been able to remain open because we were able early on in August to identify students who were infected, and we could isolate them on campus. It didn't spread to the community. We were able to move into a new space in November of 2020, which allowed us to have more testing robots and more of our thermocycling machines to be able to do a higher throughput of testing.
I have a lot of experience with PCR, cell culture, and all the analytical aspects on the COVID tests.
Basically, I scan the samples when I receive them, I put them in the oven, I kill the virus, and then I scan them back out after I take them out of the oven.
We take the lid off inside of a cabinet, release the pressure inside safely, and then we take it over to one of our liquid handling robots. This allows us to very accurately put in the sample into a certain location. Then it will go into our thermocycling machine. This instrumentation gives us information about how much virus is present, not just that it is present.
Every day, like when I come in, I'll do like a normal shift and I'll scan like 700 samples, testing 700 people for COVID.
Each one of those samples is an actual student. Each sample has a story whenever it comes in.
Students played a huge role in this. This is not part of their normal job, but everybody said, look, we realize this is important. We'll pour all of our efforts to try to get this to work.
A bunch of my friends, they kind of like have the idea that the test like doesn't really work. They have like in the news like all about like the false positives, but I can say like actually working in the lab and like seeing the results and seeing how it's done, the saliva test is a very accurate test. When you get positive, like you're positive.
Right now, there's a lot of, fake science, fake news, fake data, fake everything. But because we are from here, we're from this community, we're part of this community, I hope that we can build more trust among people and contribute to a safer environment for everyone.
We are the flagship of the state of South Carolina. And as the flagship, we must serve South Carolina. In addition to that, as a flagship university, we should afford this to other institutes of higher learning.
It's great to be able to do something that tangibly can help your community and your university. So it made the long hours worthwhile.
We're going to win. We're, as a society, science is going to win, and the human spirit is going to come back together and learn how to trust each other, build society, and build trust again. I'm very proud of the University of South Carolina.